If you're anything like me, then you love DIYing on wood blanks. It lets your creativity fly. You can do pretty much whatever you want on those wood blanks, and that's what I'm going to be doing for you guys today. I'm going to take some wood blanks and show you how I DIY them to make them my own. If you guys are new here, my name's Liz, and in today's video, I have so many wood blank DIYs. I've got Dollar Tree wood blanks, scrap wood blanks, and my very own wood blanks that we just launched today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into our wood blank DIYs. I found this mason jar cutout at Hobby Lobby. It was $2.99, but on sale for 50% off. This thing was fairly large. Now, the one thing that I would keep in mind when you're purchasing these kind of thinner wood items is that a lot of times they can be bowed, like the one that I grabbed. I would just suggest trying your best to find ones that aren't bowed, but a lot of times with this thinner wood that you can buy at craft stores, a lot of them are a bit warped or bowed, so just do your best to find ones that are not. What I'm going to do is section off the middle portion of my mason jar. I want to paint that a different color than the rest of it, so I just took some tape, taped it off, measured it to make sure that it was all nice and even, and then I'm going in with my aloe paint from Americana. I love this green. It's very farmhouse, and I just really enjoy this color. So I'm going to give it one coat of this paint all throughout the middle, and then before the paint is dry, I'm going to go ahead and remove that tape. Once that paint is dry, I am going to tape it off again, but this time with the tape matching up to the top and the bottom of the green portion that I painted. And I'm going to take this voodoo gel stain from Dixie Belle and stain the top and bottom portion of my mason jar. I really like gel and water-based stains just because they don't smell. I'm really sensitive to smells, so regular stains tend to give me headaches. We're going to be using a Chalk Couture Transfer for this, so I'm going to grab my Chalk Couture Surface Wax, and I am going to put that on the top and the bottom portion of my mason jar, so wherever we stained, I want to use that surface wax. Also, I'm going to paint the top portion or the lid portion of my mason jar. I'm going to paint that with one coat of my Waverly chalk paint in black, and I'll wait for that to dry before moving on to our transfer. I grabbed this Aztec type print transfer, and I'm going to use that on the places where I've stained my mason jar. So I'm going to go ahead and tape off all of the sides and edges where I don't want that paste to get on there, so everything has a nice clean line. I'll lay my transfer right on top of my mason jar, get it exactly where I want it, smooth it all down so it's nice and stuck on there, and then using my chalk paste in white, I'm going to go ahead with a squeegee and squeegee that paste all on the spots where I want that to be. Now, I personally am a little bit of a slower chalker, so I like to do my chalking in sections. I will add my chalk paste, lift the transfer up, dry it, and then lay it back down and move on to the next section. This just makes sure that the paste doesn't dry to your transfer. You're going to want to make sure that you pull up your transfer right after you've chalked on it. Now I'll go ahead and remove all of that tape that I laid down, and I have a really pretty pattern, and I think it turned out really nice. I'm going to grab this hello cutout that we cut out with our laser machine. Any kind of cutouts that I mention in today's video that we personally cut out will be available on my website, moorevinyldecals.com, and a lot of them I will have in a bunch of different sizes so that you can really customize the kind of pieces that you want. I just painted that hello with my Waverly chalk paint in black, and then using my wood glue super glue, I'm going to glue that right to the middle in that green section. Now I had a whole bunch of florals that I took and kind of wrapped around each other, so I wanted to make a swag, I guess you would call it, maybe, or just some greenery all bunched up together. I just took several different kinds of pieces and just wrapped them all around each other till I had almost like an L shape that I could put in the corner of my mason jar. I took some of this burlap ribbon and I am going to fold this on top of each other, one end over the other, and scrunch it all up. I used a brown pipe cleaner to wrap that around the middle, and I just twisted it in the back to keep it nice and secure. Now you could keep those tails of the pipe cleaner on the back and wrap that right around your greenery. I ended up cutting them off, so I just took the piece that I cut off, wrapped that around the middle and onto my greenery, and tied those together. Now I wanted more of a layered bow look, so I had this gray gingham or buffalo check print ribbon in my stash, and I made a little bow. Now I am not a bow maker by any means. I am not very good at it. I just kind of made 4 loops and scrunched them up all together in the middle. I couldn't even tell you exactly how I did it because I just messed around with it a little bit until I had it the way that I wanted it to look. If you want to learn how to make really nice bows, I would highly suggest searching for that, how to make bows. I am not the greatest example of it, so this was just kind of a fluke thing, and it turned out really nice. So I just took that, tied some twine around the middle, and then tied that right on top of my burlap bow and my greenery, tied multiple knots in the back, and then I'm going to take my hot glue and hot glue that to the corner of my mason jar. To finish it off, I added some of these little white sunflowers that I had in my stash. I just glued about 3 of them on there, added a twine hanger through the holes at the top, and this is how it turned out. I think this is so adorable. You could use this as a door hanger. It is fairly large, so it would be perfect for that. You could put it in the middle of a wreath or hang it in an entryway. Really, whatever you wanted to do with it, but I love this one so much. I think it turned out beautiful. So like I mentioned before, we just launched a ton of wood blank kits. Anything from just a single barn, farm animals. We put together some 12-inch round kits that you can actually put on Dollar Tree 12-inch rounds. I made these specifically to fit Dollar Tree's 12-inch rounds, so you can just buy all the pieces that go on top and put them on your Dollar Tree rounds, or any other kind of scrap wood that you have, any other kind of wood blank that you are using, or sign, picture frame, whatever the case may be, you could fit those onto them as well. So I'll have those linked down below where you can find all of our new wood blanks along with free cut files. So from now on, anytime I use my Cricut, the file that I'm using is going to go onto our website where you can download it for free, use with your cutting machine. Or if you don't have a cutting machine, it is a PNG file, so you can print it out, use graphite paper, or however else you want to trace the image, you can do that as well. So again, all those links will be down below, but let's go ahead and jump into our next wood blank DIY. For this DIY, I found these 3 wood blank houses at Dollar Tree. They were new to me. I had never seen them before, so I picked up several of them, and I'm gonna start by painting the backs and all of the sides with my Waverly chalk paint in white. I just did 1 coat of that. Now I'm going to take a couple pieces of scrapbook paper from my summer market and my homemade collections that you can find on my website. I just picked 3 different patterns. So this lemon, these florals, and this yellow plaid paper. I thought these looked really pretty all together. So I'm going to go ahead and trace those houses out on each paper. So 1 paper per house. And I just cut those out using my scissors. Once I have all 3 of my scrapbook paper houses cut out, I'm going to take some Mod Podge and cover the fronts of my houses. So the side that you did not paint, you will cover with Mod Podge. I'm going to let that Mod Podge completely dry. So I prefer doing the iron-on method when using Mod Podge and paper or any other kind of, tissue paper or anything like that. I personally feel like it helps keep all the wrinkles out of my paper. So once my Mod Podge is completely dry, I'm going to add my paper to my piece, add some parchment paper on top, and then I'm using my Cricut mini heat press all the way on high and going over the entire thing. I like to start in the middle and then work my way out. And this really does help with getting 0 wrinkles. You're reactivating that Mod Podge so the paper sticks to the houses. And I feel like this is a foolproof way of getting your paper to stick to whatever surface you are wanting. I'll repeat that step for all 3 of my houses. Now I have this Home Sweet Home cutouts that we made, and I am using my Waverly Wax in Antique to give it more of a stained look. So I just add my wax right on top, and then using a paper towel, I just kind of wipe off the excess, and I use that for all 3 words. I'm going to adhere my words to my houses using my wood glue super glue that you can get from the Dollar Tree, and I just tried to line up my houses as best as I could to get my words all nice and straight, so when the houses are standing up right next to each other, all the words look pretty even. So I glued all 3 of those down, and then I took 3 different kinds of ribbon. This one is more of a burlap kind of lacy ribbon that I found at Hobby Lobby. I'm going to wrap it around all the way at the bottom and then hot glue it in place in the back. I did that for all 3 of my houses. So I have a mustardy ribbon for one of them and then a really pretty pink for the other. And I want to say that all 3 of these ribbons I found at Hobby Lobby. To finish it off, I'm going to take some twine and wrap that around the ribbons at the bottom, just tying them in a double knot in the back. And then I'm going to take that leftover twine that I have from each tail and tie it in a super simple bow, just like you would your shoelaces. And then I will hot glue that to the houses on the ribbon. I kind of place them in a different spot on each house, and that's all you have to do. I think these turned out so cute. You can't beat $1.25 for the wood cutout houses. I think that's a really great deal, and these are so fun to be able to decorate for any kind of season. This is more kind of summery, but you could do this really for any season or holiday that you wanted. Now this next one is one of my favorites. We cut out this popsicle with a little bite taken out in the top, and I'm going to start by painting half with my Waverly chalk paint in white. I left the popsicle stick plain since popsicle sticks are usually a wood looking color, and so I just left that part alone. Towards the top of my popsicle, I wanted the popsicle to look like it was dripping and it had kind of melting spots in it. So I just took my brush and my white chalk paint and kind of made an outline as best as I could. Tried to draw a little drip and then little melting spots towards the top. Now for the top, I'm using my Bunker Hill blue from Dixie Belle, so more of a navy blue, and I am redrawing those drips and making it a little bit bigger, a little bit wider, and just going over the drips that I had already created. So to make the blue portion look like it's dripping over the white. And then I'm going to take that same Bunker Hill blue with a little bit of white mixed in and a really small round sponge. I'm going to make some little polka dots all over the blue portion of my popsicle. I wanted this to be a little bit more fun, a little bit more cutesy, so I just took these sponges and twisted them onto the blue portion of my popsicle, and I just did it randomly. There's no rhyme or reason to how I did it. I just added the polka dots wherever I felt like one could go. Next, I'm going to add some red stripes to my popsicle. So using some tape, I'll take a little piece, use it as a spacer, and then add the next piece of tape down, creating a stripe. And I just repeated this process all the way up to the top until it was past the blue section a little bit. Now just using some red paint, I go through and paint all of my red stripes. When I get to the top where the blue starts, I just take a really fine paintbrush and I go around all of the blue as best as I can, making sure that I'm not covering up that blue at all and trying my best to make it look like the blue is on top of the red and white stripes. You probably could have done the red and white stripes before you did the blue part, but I felt like it was easier this way, and then I wasn't having to do multiple coats to cover up the red. Once that's done, I'm going to remove all of my tape, and I'm going back in with a couple markers. So I have a white marker, and I'm just adding some detail lines. I wanted this to look really detailed, really animated, so I'm going over kind of wherever I see fit to add some lines to it. I'm going over each bite mark and doing dashes throughout the entire piece. I'm also adding lines to the outside, and then I'll also add highlights to each of my little bubbles. I go back over some of the details with a black paint pen, just going over the white. You can still see the white underneath it, just kind of layering it on top. And I just did that through most of the detail work that I had done previously. Besides the bubbles, I wanted those to just stay white inside there. Now I put together this cut file and I have it as a free cut file now on my website. That's a new thing that we are going to start anytime I use my Cricut on a video. I'm going to have that file available for you for free. So I will leave the links to my free cut files down below if you want to use them. You could also use them as just printing them out and doing the graphite method if you don't have a cutting machine, so that you can still have these cute words on your project. So they'll be available to print and to use as a cut file. So I just cut this out with my Cricut Joy, and I'm just using Oracle 651 vinyl. That's my personal favorite to use. I go through and weed out my piece, and then using some transfer tape that I get from Expressions Vinyl, I'm going to burnish the vinyl to that transfer tape and then slowly peel back. One trick that I like doing is taking my piece and flipping it over and peeling the backing away from the transfer tape instead of the transfer tape away from the backing. I feel like that helps out a lot. And then I'll align my words to the right of my popsicle, burnish it on there, and then peel the transfer tape back. Now, if you're having trouble with your vinyl sticking to wood, one thing that you can do is add some sort of top coat like Mod Podge or a spray top coat. That will also help keep your vinyl sticking to your piece, but this didn't give me any issues when I stuck it just straight to the wood. Now I gathered a couple different kinds of ribbon. This star ribbon I picked up from Hobby Lobby recently. I cut out two pieces that were the same size, and then I wanted this to be a little bit thinner, so I did end up cutting off those red edges just to give my ribbon a little bit more of a thinner look to it, so it's not too bulky on my popsicle. And then I grabbed a couple other ribbons, this red and kind of creamed stripe ribbon. Again, I just measured it to the same size and cut two of each out. And then I had a simple white ribbon that I cut two of the same size. Now with all of my ribbons, I went through and dovetailed all the ends before assembling it into a messy bow. To assemble it, I am just starting from biggest to smallest. So I'll take those star ribbons, cross them on the bottom, take my two red striped ribbons, cross them on top, and then my plain white ribbons will be crossed on top of that. Then I'll just take a piece of twine and put it in the middle, scrunch it all up in the front, and tie a double knot in the back. Lastly, I'll just hot glue this to the top left of my popsicle, and that is it. I think this turned out so cute. You can do this for any season, any holiday, really however you want to make your popsicles, you can make it look, but I thought this Patriotic Popsicle was just too cute, and I'm actually really excited to make more of these popsicles for summer. Let me know if you'd like to see one of those. For this DIY, I took a piece of scrap wood that I had in my garage. I cut it down to about 22.5 inches, and it is a 1x6. I guess technically it's 5.5 inches wide, but it is a 1x6 if you're purchasing it at a store. I took a screwdriver and I just started kind of carving into this piece. I always wanted a tall riser on my entryway table for some large signs that I have to go in the middle. And so I wanted this to look really old, really worn, really beat up, like it was a reclaimed piece of wood. So I took anything I had, screwdrivers, a hammer, any other kind of pokey tool that I had, and I just went over the entire thing, hit all the edges so the edges looked really beveled, and just kind of carved it up that way. I'm using my voodoo gel stain from Dixie Belle and staining my entire piece. I grabbed some of these candlesticks from Hobby Lobby. They were $3.99 and you get a pack of 5. I'm going to be using 4 of them as our riser legs, so I'm just going to stain them with the same stain that we used for our board, and I stained all 4 of them just the same. To adhere them onto the back, I used a combination of some wood glue and then my wood glue super glue, and I just put these on all 4 corners of my riser. Now I wanted my piece to look even more distressed than it was, so I used a chip brush and some white Waverly chalk paint and went over it, starting with a really light hand and then working my way up until I had it the way that I wanted it. Once I had the entire thing dry brushed in the white, I did go in with some black chalk paint and kind of did a couple little dashes here and there. And honestly, I just kept adding and taking away until I had it looking the way that I wanted it to look. So after I added the black, I went in with a baby wipe and kind of blended the black into the brown and the white, and then I went over it with some more of the stain that I had to kind of dull down that white, dull down the black, and make it look like it all kind of meshed together. And that is all you gotta do for this one. I think this is so pretty. I love the height that it gives my signs in the middle. Everything is a little bit more aesthetically pleasing to my eye, with the middle sign being taller than everything else. And then you could add some beads, you could do some garlands or whatever else that you wanted to put in front of your riser, or you could use this on a kitchen table as a centerpiece. Really, you can do whatever you wanted with it, but I'm loving how this wood blank DIY turned out. For this DIY, I cut out the words "Sweet Summertime" with some lemons and then a large lemon backing. Now again, these are all available for purchase. You can buy the lemon in several different sizes, and then you can purchase the words and the lemon separately if you want to do that as well. So I started out with mixing some Waverly chalk paint in maize and adding a little bit of white chalk paint to it to really lighten it up a bit. I was trying to figure out how I could paint the big lemon yellow and still have my little lemons pop off of the sign as well. So I kind of went back and forth with this. I painted the entire thing this color and then thought that maybe this was going to blend in too much with the other one. So I started painting white over the top of it, but then I wanted to leave almost like the rind, the dark yellow. So I just painted the middle portion of the lemon white, and then I changed my mind again and took a little bit more of a lighter yellow and mixed that with the white paint, as the white paint was still wet, so they could really blend in together and make an even lighter yellow than I had just painted. Now I wanted this sign to be a little bit more cutesy, so I wanted to do the little polka dots again. I took some white paint and some of that yellow paint and mixed it together to make a really light yellow. And with a round sponge, I just spun that sponge onto my lemon backing and added little polka dots all over. I also took an even smaller round sponge, went over the sign as well, so there were different sized polka dots on my lemon. While that's drying, I painted the words summer with my Waverly chalk paint in black, gave those all one good coat. And then for the words sweet and thyme, I used my Waverly chalk paint in white, and I just slowly went over the entire thing. Now you could paint the top, the sides, the back. I like just painting the top because I prefer the burned edge look to the sides. For my little lemons, I tried mixing up a darker yellow color so that they would pop off the yellow backing a bit more. So I'm going to paint all of my lemons this color, and then for the leaves on my other two lemons, I used my Waverly chalk paint in celery. To give a little bit more detail to my backing, I took a white marker and drew little circles around each of my polka dots, and then I took a black paint pen and did little lines throughout each of those polka dots. I honestly was just kind of playing around, really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I feel like that's how the majority of my crafts work. I'm trying to wing it as best as I can and hoping for the best. And then I also added little dots and squiggly lines around the entire lemon backing. But the nice thing about these blanks is you can make this however you want. If you don't like the squiggly lines, if you don't like the polka dots, you don't have to do it. You can make it exactly the way that you want it to look. Now I lined up my word summer in the middle of my lemon and used my wood glue super glue to adhere all of my letters down. I tried to get these as even as I possibly could, so using a straight ruler or something definitely helps out when adding your letters to a sign. Then I added my sweet and thyme to the lemon as well, and then finished it off by adding my smaller lemons to the bottom left-hand side. Added a final touch of detail using a paint pen and did some stitching marks around both the leaves on my lemons. And that's it. That's all you have to do for this one. I think this turns out really cute. Again, you don't even have to use the sweet summertime on this. You could just do the big lemon and use some vinyl or a stencil. Or if you want the sweet summertime words themselves, they are sized to fit 12-inch rounds. I size them specifically to fit the Dollar Tree 12-inch rounds. So if you just want to put them on there, you can do that as well. Or really any other piece that you want to put them on. I'm loving the variety and the mixing and matching and letting you guys be a little bit more creative with our wood cutouts. That was my goal for this little launch, was letting you guys be able to pick and choose what you guys want and be able to use them how you want them. For this one, this is our cow head cutout. I love this so much because, again, there's so many different ways that you can finish this. You can finish it the way I'm going to show you today. You could finish it to make it look like an actual cow. You could put some vinyl on it. You could use a stencil on it. You could use a Chalk Couture Transfer on it. There's so many different options and so many ways to be creative with this. So what I did was I gave the cow head one good coat of some white chalk paint. I took the little tag and painted that with my Waverly chalk paint in black. Next, I'm going to draw some shiplap lines on my cow. So I just took this square ruler that I picked up from the Dollar Tree and used this as a guide and drew some lines just using a pencil. Once all of my lines are drawn on there, I'm just taking my finger and smudging those lines. It gives it less of a harsh line look and more of a faded shiplap look. I took a small chip brush that I picked up from the Dollar Tree and my Waverly Wax and Antique, and I'm doing a little bit of dry brushing on the sides and then a little distressing throughout my cow. I like to squeeze the top of the paintbrush so it's more of a thin line, and I draw little lines like that. I also did that in black as well. Now, to kind of make everything look nice and faded, I just took a fine grit sandpaper and I'm going over the entire thing, making those lines look a little less harsh and more distressed and faded and old. I also took that sandpaper and went around the tag itself. I wanted some of that natural wood to peek through all of the edges. I'm going to add some Chalk Couture surface wax to my tag because we are going to be using a transfer. Now I do this on any kind of porous surface that I'm using to help with bleeding when I'm using the transfers. I'm going to take this transfer right here and take the part that says Farm Fresh Milk and Cream. This worked perfect for this piece. I just cut that out and then used my white chalk paste with a little squeegee to paste that on here. And then make sure that you're always washing your transfers afterwards so that you can use them again and again. I'm going to create a bow for my cow. So I took this ribbon that I picked up from Hobby Lobby and I just folded the ends right over onto each other, cut this off from the spool, and then use some twine to tie the middle. So I just scrunched that middle up, turned it on its back, and tied a double knot. I dovetailed each of those ends, and then I didn't cut the tail of the twine off. I wanted to use that to lay on top of this lamb's ear and tie the bow to the lamb's ear. So I just put that bow right on top, turned it around, and tied several double knots, added some hot glue to the back, and then glued this to the side of my cow's ear. So it had a cute little bow. And then to finish it off, just added some glue to the tag, put that on the other ear, and that is it for this DIY. I love this cow so much. Again, so many different ways that you could paint this cow and make it your own, but I think that this looks absolutely adorable, very farmhouse and rustic, and it fits my home decor perfectly. For this DIY, a kind of hidden wooden blank piece, if you will, is the wooden frames inside of a canvas. So what I did was took a blade and cut that canvas apart from the frame. Now you can get canvases like this at the Dollar Tree. This one specifically is from Michael's. I like these ones better just because they have more of a beveled edge on the front. So to me, it looks more decorative, but if you just want to use the ones from the Dollar Tree, you can definitely do that as well. So I'm just going to start by removing the entire canvas away from the frame until I just have the frame left. I used my Waverly Wax and Antique to stain the entire piece, the front, the back, and all of the sides. So you're going to use this like you would a regular stain. You'll wipe it on and then wipe it off. I picked up this chicken wire from Michael's and I just unrolled this till I had the amount that I needed, grabbed some wire cutters and just started cutting the wire to the size of the back of my frame. So I didn't want it to go around, I just wanted just enough to be able to adhere this to the back of the frame. Now I took my hot glue and started adding that to all of the points on the chicken wire for a couple different reasons. One of them so that I'm not poking myself and hurting myself, because the edges of the chicken wire can be pretty sharp. But the other reason is so that when I am leaning this up against a wall, maybe I'm going to hang it on a wall, the ends aren't scratching up my paint. So I just added a little bit of hot glue to each point. Next, I'll lay my chicken wire on the back of my frame, and using a staple gun, I just stapled the entire piece all around the frame. Now, we have been toying around with the idea of making cutouts for Chalk Couture transfers. This one matches up with the My Roost, My Rules transfer, and I am going to start by painting it using my Americana paint in Aloe, and I just gave him one good coat. Since I'm going to be using this with the My Roost, My Rules transfer, I'm going to be adding my surface wax to the Rooster. Again, this helps with bleeding. This is what I have personally found. Any kind of porous surface that you're using, like wood, I personally find that adding the wax creates a good barrier and prevents bleeding. Now I laid my transfer down and added my Rooster on top, tried to center him as best as I could, and then I'm using my bright white chalk paste to go over the entire Rooster. Now you could do any color that you want. You could do multiple colors. I liked the simple kind of more farmhouse look to him, so I just stuck with the white and the green. So you can just lift your transfer up and reveal a cute little Rooster with the cutout and the transfer. I centered him onto my chicken wire and then flipped him over onto the back and started gluing the chicken wire to the Rooster himself, so that the glue was kind of wrapped around the chicken wire and then glued to the back of the wood. And that's all you got to do for this. You could definitely add some greenery. You could add a little sign to the side, maybe a little saying or a bow somewhere, but I thought he looked fine just plain like this, and I loved the way it turned out. Let me know if you want to see more Chalk Couture cutouts like this. We can do anything that isn't already a Chalk Couture cutout, so any transfers that don't have cutouts already we can make, and if that's something that you'd like to see, definitely let me know in the comments or message me and we will cut them out and add them to our website. And that's it for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Let me know which project was your favorite in the comments down below. Again, go check out our brand new wood blank section on our website along with those free cut files. I hope that you guys enjoyed these DIYs as much as I did. I really had so much fun putting these together. I feel like with wood blanks, you can really let all of those creative, I don't know, images that are in your head. That's kind of what I call them. I have so many creative things going on in my brain all the time, and they just need to come out somehow, and I need to be able to put them onto some sort of surface. So having these wood blanks really allows me to do whatever I want and let whatever creativity comes out of me can come onto that wood blank. So I hope that you guys again enjoy them as much as I did. Don't forget to subscribe before you guys leave. We are almost to 100,000 here on my channel, just a couple hundred more, and I will be doing a really awesome 100,000 subscriber giveaway, so make sure that you stay tuned for that. Hit the subscribe button, share it with your friends, give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.